Witnesses hold the key to police investigations into the cause of the accident. It appears the young woman lost control of the Celica coupe as she attempted to negotiate a right-hand bend in Main Road at about 8:50. The car slammed into a pole, throwing the woman against the steering wheel and windscreen. She suffered severe head injuries. Ambulance paramedics took almost half an hour to free the woman from the crumpled wreckage. She was rushed to Royal Newcastle Hospital, where she remains in intensive care in a critical condition. Police believe a white Holden sedan they are seeking was in the vicinity of the accident, and they're also asking anyone who may have seen it to contact the Bullaroo station.
A capacity crowd filled the Mayfield Uniting Church to remember Richard James Robertson, who died suddenly on Saturday of a heart attack. The service, conducted by the Reverend John Mason, was also addressed by past District Governor of Lions International, Max Nixon. Dick Robertson was himself a past governor and life member of Lions International and was chairman of the Lions Kidney Unit Appeal. That project resulted in the establishment of the renal ward at the Royal Newcastle Hospital. Mr Robertson also opened the Lions movement to women members. He was also known as a former alderman of the Newcastle City Council and played a vital role as deputy chairman of the Newcastle Bicentennial Community Committee. Mr Robertson died the day before the final bicentennial event, the longest party, was held on Sunday.
Dick put the whole thing together. The budgeting, everything has been done by that community committee, and I get the honour of being the chairman, but Dick was the deputy chairman and the worker who did it.
Elected as an alderman in 1974, Mr Robertson served in that capacity until 1983, when he decided not to stand for re-election. Mr Robertson worked for many other groups, including his church, the Hunter Valley Cancer Appeal, the Hunter Valley Theatre Trust and the Engine Reconditioners Association. A private ceremony at Beresfield Crematorium followed today's funeral. Dick Robertson is survived by his wife Heather and children Faye, Philip and Jill.
Customers choosing to eat out in other areas if the ban on smoking in public eating places comes into force. Peter Stiles of Chudley's in Hamilton says restaurant owners will lose a lot of money from Newcastle Council's vote last night.
The ardent smoker that chooses to have a cigarette over his meal or her meal will decide, rather than to go into Newcastle, will perhaps dine away from Newcastle, which of course in that situation we're losing a lot of our customers. If the situation arises that they can go to a separate area to enjoy a cigarette after meal, as they did in old traditional days, to go and have a port and a cigar, there's also that added expense to the proprietors to build those areas.
There was a mixed reaction from restaurant patrons. Some smokers felt that since tobacco was a legal drug, smoking should not be banned.
People have their rights, and smoking's not illegal. Sure, if restaurants want to split it up between smoking and non-smoking zones, then that's up to them, but I don't think it's up to the council to decide that they don't want people to smoke in restaurants and therefore they can't.
But others believe smokers should be segregated in areas where food is served.
I think they should have two separate sections rather than ban altogether. Have a smoker section and a non-smoker section.
Today in the bistro, the designated smoking area was empty. The proposed ban on city eateries, including banquet halls and reception areas, will take at least 2, more like 3 months to enforce. And the public will have a chance to air their views by way of submissions to council. The ban would be policed by the public and routine inspections by the council health department. And Newcastle councillor Ashley Saunders, a non-smoker, believes the ban cannot be successful.
Well, see, people like to be able to regulate their own behaviour, and I don't believe that people who are smokers and therefore are addicted to tobacco will be able to easily simply give it up. And I think that what we ought to be doing to achieve the same ends, which I believe are quite noble and admirable, we ought to be consulting, to encourage and working with the restaurateurs, working with the public to ensure that over a period of time these sorts of things come in, and to ensure that restaurateurs of their own will create non-smoking zones or indeed become non-smoking restaurants by their own choice.
Just days after his 16th birthday, fate dealt a cruel blow to Russel Campbell while he was on an early morning training run at Dudley Bluff. After falling down the cliff, the young man lay for 2 hours with a broken back before being discovered by police. Wished to help by a rescue helicopter, he was transferred to the Royal North Shore Hospital in Sydney. After months in and out of hospitals, he eventually came home in December. Refusing to live life in the slow lane, the Whitebridge High School student is starting again. The modified family car helps give mobility. But after a year away, the big challenge this week was going back to school. His friends' loyal support is helping Russell adapt to life as a Year 11 student once more.
Well, coming back to school was going to be a nervous experience, just getting back to seeing everyone and all the friends again, and seeing they'll be seeing me in a different way, being in a wheelchair, but something they'll come to learn, and something I've got to sort of help them understand is that I'm no different to what I used to be. The only difference is that I can't walk, but I don't think that'll limit my job opportunities all that much, so I'm much on par with them as usual as before, except sporting-wise, of course, but apart from that, yeah, it's been good to get back.
Russell plans to study hard and is considering a career in music or computers. One of his immediate goals, though, is to take to the road. You've got your 17th birthday coming up in March. How long after that do you think it'll be before you get your licence?
Well, I'd say once I turn 17, I'll probably go for it on my 17th birthday, because the L plates are becoming a bit tedious at the moment, and it's a bit nervous having people swerve and cut in front of you with your L plates on, so it'll be good to get off them.
Russell describes the support he has received as fantastic. Friends and staff at his school have rallied with members of the Redhead Surf Club, football clubs and other community groups to raise almost $16,500 for his present and future needs. The Commonwealth Rehabilitation Service has granted $12,000 to modify the family home and car, and at a cost of more than $10,000, the Education Department has helped at school.
We've had to make timetable changes so that Russell doesn't have to go upstairs, and the Department of Education has been very supportive by providing all the ramps. They have put ramps into the buildings that Russell has to go into, and a very elaborate ramp into the library where he'll be spending a lot of his time.
Despite the fact Russell has no feeling from his chest down, the one-time keen footballer and champion swimmer is inspiring, taking great pride in his independence.
Because I've got my 2 arms, I can do anything, really. I can go anywhere, do anything. I can get up one step or a gutter, so that enables me to get into certain shops and everything. Going up a flight of stairs is a problem in itself. You need someone behind you to drag you up there, but independence is really good. I'm coming to terms with it, so it's really great.
Terrific, good on you. Thanks a lot.
High-tech seats used for the new suburban passenger trains were devised by Meadow-based Strait coatings 8 months ago. Today the design is the holder of the Award of Excellence, with Plastic Industry World Conference currently being held in Texas. Managing Director Ken Weatherid said the award creates a new technological threshold for the Australian industry. The seats of fire and vandalism
situation.
Amazingly, it's impossible to slash the seats with a knife. And they are all so strong. In one university safety demonstration, the testing rig broke, but not the seat. The company is now producing 55,000 train seats and believes their success will lead to worldwide orders.
We have inquiries from England and Indonesia, Canada as well, and we're sending out delegates now to go overseas to suss out licensing technology, etc.
It was last year that NBN News highlighted the massive road problems created for Cessnock City Council by the National Highway terminating at Freeman's Waterhole. Heavy traffic was being forced onto narrow roads which were never designed to carry that kind of load. As a result, huge potholes were appearing overnight, with the road edges being badly eroded. Residents of Mulbring and Pellormain were concerned after a series of accidents, some of them fatal. For others, the peace of their tiny town had been shattered by the sheer volume of traffic spewing off the unfinished highway. Now the state government has come good with funds to repair and maintain the roads. $1 million will be spent by the Road Traffic Authority on the route through Kurri Kurri to the New England Highway at Beresfield. Another $1 million will go to Council to improve sections of Allendale and Aberdare roads. While the funding is recognition of the problem, residents will have to wait another 3 years before the freeway is extended to Wallsend, taking the heavy traffic with it.
Mineral Resources and Energy Minister Neil Pickard arrived at Eraring Power Station today on the first leg of a 3-day tour of the Hunter. While here, he says he will visit Singleton to talk to local authorities about plans for the new United Collieries mine near Warkworth. He says markets have already been identified for coal from the planned longwall mine. The Miners' Federation owns the mining lease on the site, while a consortium would operate the mine and put up the necessary capital. Initially, the project would create 140 jobs, with the potential for more.
I'm anxious to get it going. I'm anxious to see that the consortium that's bound with them has the opportunity to develop this with a market ready for them, and also that the advantages coming back from the unions' share in the whole project will in fact bring the social benefits to the mining communities that they want.
The Minister will visit other Hunter mines and says concern over the downturn in export markets has a lot to do with the value of the dollar.
But every time the dollar goes down, goes up by 1 cent, there is one company in that valley alone that loses $6 million. So you can't have that happening. We have got to find a way to handle this dollar.
If the dollar continues to rise, he says, the outlook for the agricultural and mining industries will be bleak.
I have 17 governments that are asking me to come over and talk to them to assure them that we can deliver. Now, I can do all of that, but if in fact the government, federal government, does nothing about the whole fiscal policy on an international scale and the price of the Australian dollar, then it's tremendously difficult.
Meanwhile, the Minister was joined by students from the Eraring Public School today to launch an experimental program to plant managed forests around the state's power stations. The first of 100,000 trees have been planted at Eraring. At a cost of $500,000, a total of 1,000 hectares will be planted at Eraring, Bayswater and Liddell to improve the environment and create millable timbers. The Minister also opened a new oval, reclaimed and regenerated by the power station for community use.
Fell Belmore, Canterbury lost captain Steve Folkes in the first 15 minutes, sent off for a head-high tackle.
An ugly start. The Knights
For a while, Newcastle capitalised on being one man up and took the game to the Bulldogs and trailed only 12-6 at the break. 20 minutes after half-time, Terry Lamb scored the try that gave Canterbury the breathing space they needed after a good backline movement.
And last week decided it wouldn't play
the Bulldogs thoroughly deserved the win, scoring 4 tries to 1.
Hastily mending bridges and have finally arrived at an agreement which satisfies both sides. Knights officials refused to make public details of the plan this afternoon, as it will be announced at the same time by both clubs tomorrow. However, Knights manager Graham Hards was clearly pleased the issue has been resolved.
We've been negotiating further with the Canterbury club today, and we're very confident tomorrow the whole matter will be resolved, and we'll make a press release to that effect tomorrow.
Is there any ill feeling between the two clubs? Some harsh words have been exchanged.
I certainly don't think so. On the Knights part, there certainly isn't. And Canterbury, a very experienced club, well administrated, and there'll be no hard feelings over it. Whenever Canterbury play the Knights, there'll always be tough games and hard games, and it'll be played in the best spirit, I'm sure.
Another thing Knights supporters have to look forward to this year are better wet weather games on the home field. Last year, heavy falls turned this area into a virtual quagmire at times, and the Knights club has gone to considerable lengths to ensure that doesn't happen this year.
So we've spent quite a deal of money, in fact in the vicinity of 20,000 on returfing most of the ground. A foot of new soil has been put in most of the problem areas, and over the last few weeks with all the heavy rain, the ground stood up excellently to the wet weather. We believe it's back to what it originally was when it was recognised as probably one of the best wet weather grounds in the state.
Speaking with members of the Newcastle University Medical Faculty, Senator McLean said he was getting continuing complaints that Medicare wasn't paying rebates for certain pathology tests. In what is a very complicated issue, the New South Wales Senator says, to the bewilderment of both patient and doctor, Medicare has been recorded as refusing payment, leaving the patient with hefty bills.
It has a scheme which says that it will universally honour things, and it doesn't universally honour them. It picks out certain doctors and excludes them, and then it randomly selects within their patient groups those who will be honoured and those who won't.
A spokesman for Medicare says doctors are not discriminated against. However, in the case of tests made on people who are physically well, Medicare will not rebate the patient. The vast majority of tests, however, are covered by Medicare, but with changing ideas in medicine, even the medical fraternity is unsure about who should foot the bills.
I think that there are grey areas, though. There are some areas where individual doctors tend to feel that certain aspects of pathology can help them, and ultimately someone is going to say this is more than the average, or this is more than we can afford. Somewhere there'll have to be some sort of
So you think there should be some leeway in the system?
I think there should be some flexibility, but somewhere someone has to call a halt.
Governments have to be worried about the public purse. That's one of their responsibilities. But they've got to find some middle ground, some way around what is clearly injustice.
.126 teams entered the competition, vying for the right to play in the final of the Women's District 4s. It was Charlestown and the Newcastle Jockey Club which met today to contest that title. With the NJC skippered by Australian representative Faye Craig, the team was favourite going into the game. However, Charlestown was determined not to let the title elude them, and on the 21st end, the NJC led by only 1 point. With either team in with a chance, the result of the game depended on the final ball. And after 25 tiring ends, the NJC claimed the match 19-18. The 4 women, Olga Wade, Val Tull, Joan Dorborn and Faye Craig, will now represent the district in the State 4s in Sydney.
We believe it's a centrepiece of Newcastle. It's the largest single community event held in Newcastle. It attracts a very broad range of people, a very good cross-section of the community. It allows sponsors to display their wares, to show people what they're about and say, well, right, we're Newcastle, this is what we do, and here it is.
President of the Show Association, Bob Cannington, says work began on the 1989 show when the gates were closed last year. 150,000 people went through the gates in '88, and this year organisers are hoping for more. Major displays from the Australian warship systems and the Department of Minerals and Energy will highlight the theme of technology. Motorcycles and circuses, plus the traditional sideshow alley, will be part of the entertainment. But the Newcastle Show is still very much orientated for the country lifestyle. Is there still an agricultural basis to the show, or do people come to see the sideshow alley?
Well, we're trying to get back more towards the agricultural basis. We run farm education lectures for children and adults. We have the Dairy Corporation they're displaying this year. We have our cattle sections, produce, but we try to incorporate a little bit of everything.
The show runs for 4 days from the 22nd of February, with the official opening by the Premier on Thursday the 23rd.
Fourteen of the state's top women divers went head-to-head in the Open 1 metre Springboard Championship, and the event was dominated by country divers. Kate Henderson, formerly of Wagga and now based in Sydney, was victorious with a points total of 363.80. She dived beautifully throughout the competition. In second position was Jane Horsley of Central Newcastle with a total of 347.65 points. Jane has won numerous New South Wales country titles and state crowns. And in third spot was Kathy Mitchell of Newcastle with a score of 325.60. Kathy won her first ever state medal. The Men's Open is on tomorrow. The way Newcastle Australs and Avala went at today's match, you would have thought it was a grand final in September. Avala, with former Socceroos Tony Henderson and goalkeeper Greg Woodhouse in their side, had a nice blend of youth and experience. And Avala had the better of the first 20 minutes of play. But then Australs began to show some positive form. Wayne Bailey had the best chance for the locals in the first half, putting the ball just wide. For Avala, Vlado Radic nearly scored, but couldn't control the shot. And amongst the skills often shown, 4 yellow cards for some very physical tackling.